Will Batman's revelation about J. Nakamura shake the young Superman John Kent to his very core? Well, let's hop into the pages of Superman Son of Kal-El issue number 11 and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up more or less directly from where the last issue left off, John, his mother, and his grandparents were spirited away to a brand new Justice League safe house. The big catch was J. Nakamura, John's brand new friend, ally, and love interest, wasn't allowed to come because Batman says that he had managed to gather some shocking information. John admits that there's few people in the world that he's actually afraid of, but Batman is certainly one of them, and as such, he's willing to at least hear him out before he ends up snapping at him. So why is it then that the Dark Knight doesn't trust the pink-haired crusading internet journalist? Well, it's because of his connection to the revolutionaries. Which honestly kind of makes sense from Batman's point of view. He didn't read Tom Taylor's Suicide Squad book, so he doesn't know the revolutionaries are actually a bunch of sympathetic anti-heroes. He only knows them from their time working for the Suicide Squad or for their work they did afterwards toppling nations. Corrupt nations, but still. John has had just about enough of this conversation and ends up flying off. It's here we're actually treated to a very interesting and very unexpected little aside between Bruce and Pa Kent. You see, as it turns out, Alfred had actually been confiding in the Kents for years. After all, who better could understand each other's plight? And with Alfred gone and Clark away on another planet, Pa Kent basically steps on in and acts as sounding board for Batman, who desperately needs someone to talk to. Pa Kent knows Batman is a good man and at the end of the day wants what's best for Jonathan, not just for his own well-being, but because he is such a powerful Superman-level entity. He can't afford to be too trusting, even if seeing the best in people is kind of a Kent family tradition. Pa says that John may be an idealist like his father, but he's not stupid and Batman needs to give him some space to make his own mistakes, assuming it even is a mistake to begin with. After all, Batman isn't exactly the kind of person who can claim to have the moral high ground when it comes to loving the wrong people. After all, didn't he almost get married to Catwoman, a person who was still stealing even when they were together? To say nothing of his baby mama Talia, international assassin and wanted terrorist. Now don't get it twisted, Pa Kent isn't saying this to bust Batman's bat balls, quite the opposite. He's just trying to showcase that love makes people do some pretty crazy things. Hey, it made him and his wife raise an alien they found on the side of the road one day. So if Batman isn't giving John the answers he wanted, he decided to look up his mentor Nightwing. He helps him deal with an arsonist problem over in Bloodhaven so the two can have themselves a nice little heart-to-heart. Dick admits that Batman is distrusting by nature. Bad things happen to him as a child, and because of that he puts up a lot of walls around himself, and that John shouldn't take it too seriously. Lord knows he doesn't. Dick also says that while he could give some advice to John, at the end of the day he's only going to know for sure Jay's true intentions if he actively goes and asks him. Which is exactly what John ends up doing. The young Superman had actually been dodging Jay's calls up until now, and Jay thinks that he's only shown up to break up with him. That's not the case though, and instead Jay goes out of his way to explain his relationship with the revolutionaries. It seems back when Bendix ousted his mother as leader of Gamora, he was taken away to be tortured and experimented on to become the next great post-human. The experiments worked almost too well, and because of that, Jay was able to use his new phase powers to escape the island. Jay stowed away on a ship with a bunch of other refugees just like the ones that John has been saving all series long when they ended up coming under attack by a Gamoran gunship. Jay and the others were only ultimately saved by the intervention of the revolutionaries. After all, their origins are very similar to Jay's himself. Most of them were also tortured and experimented on by corrupt governments hoping to create a new generation of super soldiers. Now they go to anyone in need and dole out justice to evildoers as they see fit. Jay admits that they're not exactly on Superman's level when it comes to morality, but they're not bad guys either. This leads to a conversation about the Suicide Squad and how they're kept in line with bombs in their neck. This conversation in turn gives Jay a major breakthrough. Together, Jay and John go over the fight footage from the Leviathan battle a couple issues back. All the other members of the Moran Guard managed to escape just fine except for the guy who died. It's almost as if Bendix stopped him up. And that's because, much like the Squad, Bendix implants his soldiers with devices so he can control them remotely. This is a hell of a revelation, but also really bad news too, as John remembers that he got the Flash Wally West to take Inferno in, meaning that John may very well have accidentally let an atomic bomb into the place where the superheroes hang their hats. Luckily, Wally is as fast a thinker as he is anything else, and they decide to enlist the help of the Atom to try and get inside Inferno's head and deactivate the device before Bendix can take control of him. Once the device is triggered though, Bendix goes out of his way to try and burn this asset and burn pretty much everything else that's around it. This being John's third run-in with this fire-based post-human, he's learned more than a few things and know exactly how to deactivate the guy by taking him up into the atmosphere where there's no air to feed the flames. John as Superman ends up not only saving the day but also dealing a massive blow to Bendix's ego, so much to the point he's decided to move up his plans with Luthor. Lex thinks that Bendix is being a little too brash. After all, he does have more experience in dealing with a heroic Kryptonian than anyone else, but still Bendix holds firm to the agreement he and Luthor has: kill Superman to be part of the Rising or else. And so that was Superman Son of Kal-El issue number 11, everybody, and overall I enjoyed this issue, as I thought the big revelation with Jay Nakamura actually wasn't that much of a big revelation at all, not to the reader at least. It did, however, lead to a really amazing scene of Pa Kent and Bruce talking about fatherhood, raising kids, life, and love. It's a pairing that we don't really get all that often, but one I'm glad we got to explore. Hell, as a big fan of Taylor's time on Suicide Squad, I'm really loving that the Revolutionaries got to be such a big part of this story and potentially the thing that could have broke John and Jay up. This revelation also adds a rather interesting moral conundrum into their relationship. It's clear that Jay, for all of his positives and all of his faults, doesn't share the same no-kill ideology that defines so much of Superman, his family of characters, and the superheroes he works with. Which, again, Jay is himself not a superhero, and the Revolutionaries are themselves not villains, but is this something that Superman John Kent can live with? Overall, I'd give this issue a pretty solid 8 out of 10. I liked it. I thought it was good stuff, and I'm interested to see where it's going to go from here.
Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers. A lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow, and help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.